Good morning, children. Yesterday, attitude is altitude. The first slot is explained through questions. I hope you made efforts to read all the page depending upon my questions. For the better comprehension, please read every slot depending on the questions I asked. This is this is the process of CCA, continuous comprehensive evaluation. So, dear children, please read the page depending upon my questions. Yesterday we discussed first unit theme is personality development, and there are 3 readings. What are the 3 readings? Attitude is altitude, A reading. B reading, every success story is also a story of great failures. And C reading, I will do it. And we discussed the first slot of A reading, attitude is altitude. So, yesterday we discussed that Nick Vujicic was born with no arms and legs. He was a brave 26-year-old and he has no limbs, but he can play football, he can play golf, and he can swim and he can surf. These things we discussed. And also Nick has a small foot under his left hip with which he can balance himself, he can swim, he can play, and he can write with a pen and pick things up between his toes. These things we discussed. He called the small foot under his lip. He called it a chicken drumstick. That was yesterday we discussed. And he was an evangelical Christian, and he waited for a long period for to marry a good person, and he is very modest. We also discussed. And water sports aren't Nick's only thing. He also plays golf with a club tucked under his chin, and he is a huge fan of the English Premier League. This is what yesterday we discussed in the first slot. And coming to the second slot means the second page, because we divided pages as slots. So every page is a slot. So yesterday first slot is over. Now we are going to discuss the second slot. Okay, and in the second slot, first para, if you observe, I am asking questions. Depending on my questions, you read the passage and answer them on your notebook and take a photograph and post to my WhatsApp. Okay, children. Now here, if you observe, please observe the marked para. What did Nick's parents decide? That is the question. What did Nick's parents decide? That is the first question. And second question is, what was the best decision? These two questions. Depending upon these two questions, you read this marked para. Okay, children. Now let us coming to the next para. If you observe this para, and my question is, when Nick was born, what were the different conditions of Nick's father and mother? These are the two questions. One question. What were the conditions of Nick's father and mother? So depending upon this question, you read this para, marked para. Okay, let us go to next thing. If you see this marked para, what type of disability he had? It was an explanation, and so many years Nick parents spent, and what is the trick happened to them? What is the trick happened to them? Who told the thing? And what is his mother? What is Nick's mother? And during pregnancy, what type of measurements might she take? Okay, then coming to the next 3 paragraphs. Okay, what was hard to them, for them? What was hard for them? And in order to give the courage, what his dad do at his childhood. And in the final, you see the last line of the marked para. What does Nick Vujicic love? Whom does I refer to? These two questions you remember. And coming to the next para, what is Nick's father doing? What is Nick's father and what he used to do? And how did Nick's parents help him? Those are the questions. And coming to the next para, okay, coming to the marked para, what might be the risk in the mainstream school, and who sent Nick Vujicic to the mainstream school? Why did they take such type of decision? And what was very hard? What gave him independence? These are the questions. The marked para, above para, and the below marked above para. So let us see. Who was teased and bullied? Number 1, first question. Who had an electrical wheelchair, and for what purpose he had an electrical wheelchair, and who helped him? These are the questions for the next para. And coming to the below para, let us mark first. And in the marked para, what make him deeply depressed? And what did he tell his mom? That were the 2 questions. And coming to the next para, and who felt cold and bitter? For why did Nick Vujicic hate God? These are the 2 questions. And coming to the last para, you see here, it is clearly visible to us. And who could brush his own teeth? And for the purpose of brushing his teeth, what type of brush he used, and how he washed his hair. What is impossible for him, and please imagine how could he achieve all the impossible things into possible things. And let us see what happened. Let us see in the final page what happened to Nick Vujicic at the age of 10. So this is what the second slot. I already explained you, asked you all the questions. Now your part is to read the second slot, and after reading the first slot, you read second slot, depending upon the questions I asked you. And when you read those two slots, depending upon my questions, you can comprehend the text very easily, and you can cultivate the habit of reading comprehensively. This is what will be helpful for us. And after explaining all the slots of this attitude is altitude, we'll have to sum up the lesson, and we'll give some work regarding all the text. These things will happen later. Now after this, you take a notebook. You take a notebook and read all the text, and you if you don't understand any word or sentence, you just please put down on our notebook, and please call me or WhatsApp. Whatever you do, I will explain you anywhere if you have any doubts. Okay, children? So we have completed 2 slots so far, and on the 2 slots I'll give you some work. You make notes. This is the homework I am giving you. Make notes on 2 slots about Nick Vujicic. This is what, and also write a suitable heading for note making, and also you put one by one all the events in his life in a good length sentences you write. This is what I give you homework. Okay, thanks for listening to the class. I would like to meet you in the next class. Thank you. Bye. Bye, children.